On algae commercialization expected soon. Choosing the right major guarantees marketability. And 2 dead, more than 20 wounded in Oslo shooting. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Hari Zainuddin and this is TVS Nightline. The research outcome on the economic viability of using algae to produce biofuel would be known in 6 months' time at the earliest. Premier of Sarawak Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng said detailed research is being carried out in the effort to develop Sarawak's sustainable energy.
Jadi kini itu sedang kita buat kajian, research penyelidikan. Mungkin dalam masa 6 bulan kita boleh melihat outcome daripada research itu.
Adding to that, the Premier said if the volume can be commercialized, it can be produced in big volume, and at the same time, it could even produce biofuel for aircraft. As such, he added that such researches require highly skilled people with biology and chemistry background, and this is one instance to explain his emphasis for more students to pursue tertiary studies in science fields rather than social science.
Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia, or SPM graduates, are advised to make the right choice when it comes to their education, in line with the development in Sarawak. Abang Johari said these matters are important to ensure the marketability of graduates, especially in new fields such as hydrogen technology.
Daripada sistem pendidikan kita, kita berkendakkan banyak orang yang mempunyai latar belakang sains. Dia bagus ALGAE, hidrogen lagi. Kerana sebut saya tadi sour gas yang kita nak bangunkan, bermakna tenaga kerja kita mestilah mereka yang pakar dan mempunyai latihan di bidang sains. Lebih-lebih lagi waktu ini di mana kepanasan suhu climate change berkendakkan banyak dari sudut biologi dan chemistry. Jadi bermaknanya jangan banyak gila ngambil social science termasuk human resource. Kita banyak gila graduate human resource, orang enggak personal manager kita. Tapi
Abang Johari said so when met by the media after officiating the Sarawak State Education Expo 2022 on Saturday. He added that the Sarawak government currently has a lot of added value to ensure the sustainability of Sarawak towards achieving the status of a developed state by 2030.
Jadi maknanya our future is bright kalau kita ada melahirkan para pelajar kita di bidang-bidang yang tersebut.
During the same event, Abang Johari also presented Certificate of Excellence to 33 SPM students of 2021.
Now, 2 people were killed and 20 more wounded following a shooting at a nightclub in Oslo, Norway. A suspect believed to be the sole perpetrator was apprehended a few minutes after the shooting began. The crime scene extended from the London pub via a neighboring club and onwards to a nearby street where the suspect was apprehended. Authorities immediately identified the suspect from his previous criminal acts and was not cooperative when arrested. The London pub is a popular destination for many in Oslo.
Shooter, he was identified as a 42-year-old Norwegian citizen of Iranian descent. Police believe he acted alone and seized 2 weapons from the crime scene, including a fully automatic gun. Oslo police lawyer told a news conference the attack was being investigated as an act of terrorism.
Når det gjelder siktelsen, for å begynne med den, så han siktet for drap, drapsforsøk og terrorhandlinger. Det med terror begrunnet ut fra antall skadde og drepte, antall åsteder, i alle fall 3 åsteder, og en samlet vurdering, så mener vi per nå at det i hvert fall rimelig grunn til å anta at han hadde til hensikt å skape alvorlig frykt.
The suspect was known to authorities, including for violence of a less severe nature. The shooting took place just months after Norway marked 50 years since the abolition of a law that criminalized same-gender sex. They have also advised to cancel a parade slated to take place later during the day.
Vi rystet, og vi har fått beskjed av politiet om at alle dagens arrangementer anbefales avlyst.
Hvordan forholder dere til dette fra politiet?
Vi tar politiets råd og anbefalinger på alvor, og oppfordrer folk til å ikke samles i Oslo sentrum.
Betyr det at paraden i dag avlyst?
I dag paraden avlyst etter politiets råd og anbefaling.
The Nordic nation of 5.4 million has lower crime rates than many Western countries, though it has experienced hate-motivated shootings, including when far-right extremist Anders Behring killed 77 people in 2011.
The recognition given by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob to the Centre of Technical Excellence, or CENTEX, proves Sarawak's success in the world of digitalization. As such, the Premier of Sarawak is confident that Sarawak is qualified to receive a United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, recognition to complete the tourism sector's ecosystem.
So, step kita kedua ialah untuk diiktirafkan sebagai satu daripada tempat yang diiktiraf oleh UNESCO. Kalau ini berlaku, bermakna kita dah mempunyai ekosistem dari sudut pelancongan. Dan ini pun menggunakan digital selain daripada manufacturing lah. Jadi makna yang saya nak sebut, semua sektor kita sudah ada bibit-bibit menggunakan teknologi. Dari 2018 hari ini 2022, dalam masa 4 tahun. Jadi saya ucap tahniah lah kepada orang Sarawak yang dapat adapt kepada cara-cara baru.
Earlier, CENTEX had received a TVET Collaboration Hub (TCH), which was awarded during the closing ceremony of the National TVET Week 2022 on Friday.
Appointed leaders of the Parti Pusaka Bumi Putra Bersatu PBB Youth Wing must show that they are able to bear the challenges and responsibility that comes with their appointment. Such was the advice of the party's Vice President, Datuk Sri Stephen Rundi Utom, who expressed his satisfaction with the appointment of Serembu Assemblyman Miro Simo as the new head of PBB's Youth Wing.
The first Bedayo to be Ketua Pemuda and Parti PBB after many years, after 50 years. Tanya, it's not been appointed, it's elected Ketua Pemuda. No joke. Jadi saya harap Ketua Pemuda yang baru akan menjalankan tugas sebagai Ketua Pemuda. No more, no less. Kita tahu cabaran-cabaran, masalah-masalah ataupun dia panggil temptation yang kita lalui, semuanya sama. Jangan terbawa-bawa, jangan terikut-ikut, sila toe the line. All of you have your own right and chance to be where you want to be one day. So jadilah jalankanlah peranan-peranan tersebut dengan sebaik mungkin.
Rundi spoke during the closing ceremony of Serembu State Assembly Gawai Open House in Kampong Skio on Friday.
Coming up after the break, KPDN HEP to hold discussion on chicken ceiling price. World's ugliest dog looks like an alien. Right here on TVS Nightline. Stay tuned. Welcome back to TVS Nightline. Now, the My Startup program will serve as a platform to convey economic issues which has largely affected the globe to startup companies. And through the program, startup companies will be provided statements of problems that exist after the COVID-19 outbreak from various agencies and the private sector in an effort to find solutions.
So what we discovered post-COVID is that there are new problems to be solved, right? We are actually running programs basically to get more startups to solve these real-world problems. In fact, we are running a hackathon, right? Whereby the problem statements will be provided by various agencies and also ministries called My Hackathon, and also the My Startup Hackathon, where the problem statements will be provided by the private sector. But the real value for these two hackathons is that the winners will be able to run their pilots in the partners' environments and also sandboxes. Yeah.
In this connection, Ahmad said, the My Startup program in Sarawak has received an encouraging response, and it is now working closely with other parties to boost its services.
We strongly believe that the response has been encouraging. We have been getting support from the likes of Tvs, SDEC, iCube, and also TVS as well to provide coverage for the event. At the moment, we are getting our ecosystem to be pump primed and also developed in the Sarawak state, and also we're working closely with other stakeholders and also corporate partners to bring in more programs to Sarawak.
He added that under the My Startup initiative, his party will introduce a program aimed to further boost the economy and also create more startup companies and stimulate the gross domestic product or GDP, particularly in Sarawak and Malaysia as a whole. The Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry, KPD and HEP, today held an engagement session with practitioners of the country's chicken supply chain to determine the new ceiling price for chicken. Its Minister Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalinggi said the session was held following the announcement of Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob on the decision of the government to continue setting the ceiling price of chicken in the market.
Ya, seperti mana kita sekarang sudah sedia maklum, telah diumumkan semalam kemarin oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri dan juga Menteri MAFI Pertanian dan Industri Makanan akan diadakan harga siling. Jadi ini akan dilaksanakan, cuma buat masa kini perbincangan rundingan bersama industri players sedang dijalankan untuk memastikan ke mana tahap yang sepatutnya harga maksimum itu diletakkan nanti.
On his official Facebook post, he said the meeting was held to ascertain the level of chicken ceiling price as the current ceiling is scheduled to expire on June 30th. According to Nanta, the meeting, which began this morning, would take into consideration all views in determining the maximum price of chicken in the market. He added that the role of KPD and HEP would be towards enforcement to ensure traders adhere to the stipulated ceiling price. Yesterday, the Prime Minister announced the government has decided that the price of chicken would not be floated in order to ensure the people are not burdened. According to the Prime Minister, the new ceiling price of chicken will be announced soon by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries, Datuk Sri Dr. Ronald Kiandi. Now, 3 agendas to boost Malaysia's international cooperation was proposed during the high-level Global Development Dialogue, which took place in Kuala Lumpur. These agendas must be sustainable, said Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, so as to not leave anyone behind as the country develops further.
Yang pertama, pengukuhan arkitektur pembangunan antarabangsa. Terdapat banyak negara membangun yang memiliki program dan agensi yang berpengalaman luas dalam bidang pembangunan. Bagi membangunkan semula ekonomi supaya menjadi lebih baik, Kita perlu mengukuhkan arkitektur pembangunan antarabangsa.
The second proposal is to strengthen the multilateral system, including funds channeled to the World Health Organization (WHO), the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO), and the United Nations Development Programme (UNDP) to achieve sustainable development objectives. He said the focus of these bodies must be given according to the needs of developing countries and not the agenda of the contributing countries. Through the third proposal in the dialogue, Ismail Sabri suggested that developed countries must fulfill their commitment to address the environmental crisis and climate change. Efforts need to be intensified, he said, to meet interrelated challenges through innovative improvements and financing, technology sharing, and capacity building that supports the transition towards a greener global economy.
Right, moving on. A total of 55,000 violations were recorded by the Road Transport Department (JPJ), where drivers were caught driving without their license. As Deputy Director General for Planning and Operations, Adli Fadli Ramli, said the data was recorded from January to May of 2022.
Most violations, Adli said, are attributed to parents who allow their children, including those under the legal age, to drive their car. The matter has persisted over the last 4 years, where no significant change in attitude occur. Those who were caught red-handed will be prosecuted under Section 26(1) of the Road Transport Act 1987, which carries the punishment of a fine not more than 3,000 ringgit or jail time of up to 3 months or both. At the same time, vehicles driven by unlicensed drivers will also be seized under Section 64(1) of the same Act.
Thank you for staying with us here on TVS Nightline. Now on to some global updates. China's account for surplus for the first quarter of 2022 reached its highest level recorded in the same period in history at $88.9 billion. The country's debt has also dropped compared with the end of 2021.
According to the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, SAFE, China's balance of international payments remains reasonable, and the ratio of the current account surplus against the same quarter's gross domestic product GDP was 2.1%. Their imports and exports of goods have maintained steady growth, while service trade continued its decline, and cross-border two-way investment and financing are active once again. The current account surplus includes a surplus of $145 billion under trade in goods, up 18% year-on-year, data showed. At the end of March, China recorded more than $2.7102 trillion of outstanding external debt denominated in domestic and foreign currencies at the end of March, down 1% from that at the end of 2021. SAFE also stated that the outstanding external debt in domestic currency accounted for 45% of the total, the same as that at the end of 2021. In terms of maturity structure, the outstanding medium and long-term external debt accounted for 47% of the total, which is also similar to the end of 2021. The primary indicators of China's external debt continue to be within the internationally recognized safety lines, and the risks of external debt are generally under control.
The world's ugliest dog contest returned to California on Friday, June 24th, after a 2-year absence due to the pandemic. And the crowned winner looks more like an alien than a dog, according to the rescue shelter where he was retrieved. Mr. Happy Face came all the way from Arizona with his owner, 48-year-old musician Janida Benally, who calls herself his emotional support human.
I had gone into the rescue for a different dog. It was a humane society. And that dog had just been adopted out. So I said, well, who else do you have? And what's your oldest dog that you have? And so they prepared me. They said, this dog is, they said, we just want to prepare you because we don't know what's wrong with this dog. It could be inbred. It doesn't look like a dog. It looks like an alien. And they had said all of these different things about the dog. And I said, it's okay, I'll want to see him. And he came out, and he just hobbled out, and he was the happiest, most beautiful creature I'd ever met in my life, and he's just got so much love.
Benally was extremely happy with the recognition her dog received, as she never imagined a dog competition appreciating her dog's flaw. When the panel of judges was examining Mr. Happy Face, they described him as looking similar to Dr. Emmett Brown from the Back to the Future and were blown away by his features.
Mr. Happy Face is wonderful. I love his crooked head, his hairless body. He's all pimply, and he's just adorable but ugly at the same time.
Wal Thang, a 6-year-old Pekingese with more hair than body and with no teeth to hold its tongue in its mouth, won second place, while a 12-year-old blue Factor Brussels Griffon named Monkey won third.
Who would have thought a noble cause of wildlife preservation could be channeled to the public through performing arts? Well, wildlife preservation is exactly the message being conveyed through the Anak Rimba Theatre. Interested to know more? Well, tune in to Sejahtera Asia tomorrow with guest lecturer Dr. Nur Kasdina Jita Abdullah and student Nick Dalili Dina Carmila with hosts Alexan Nilian and Sharon Kizia, 7:30 a.m. on TVS Astro Channel 122 and My Freeview. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. Just a click away by heading on to our website at www.tvstv.my or follow us on our social media platforms. That's all the time that we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Hari Zainuddin. It's been a pleasure.